Today's tone of conversation is going to be different to what you've experienced in the past. It's not a nervous energy. It's the fact that I'm catching up with someone that I've known for years.
I'm Matthew Chapman. I'm chief exec of a company called SBFM. But if you want to really know who I am, I'm some guy who was born in Bradford, West Yorkshire, and nothing more, nothing less. Matthew means gift from God, which is ironic because my older brother's called Carlton, which means like the geeky guy from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. If a cleaner goes sick in most businesses, you're lucky if they even get a call to see if they're okay. What they do is go, cleaner's sick, can you get someone else in? That's cattle. Mm-hmm. That is like, yeah, get someone else in because the building is not. Whoa, Matt didn't turn up today. Are you okay, Matt? If I didn't turn up to my job or you didn't, they'd check in on you and they'd expect you to take some time. No, here they're like looking to replace you in this industry. We've humanised the cleaner. It's a big piece of empowerment, and we're using tech to help people showcase when they've been productive and build out their CVs. There is companies with 100,000 workforce who could do this. It doesn't cost a thing, really, if you think about it.
Just doing the right thing.
Just doing the right thing.
I started these conversations to discuss leadership, mentorship, growth, and so much more from voices you may not have heard from before. I hope the conversations inspire you, motivate you, and give you something to think about. This is Leadership in Colour from myself, Shezek Khan, supported and powered by me. Welcome to Leadership in Colour. Let me introduce you to my good friend, Matthew Chapman. You know, you've had these great leaders. You've had some leaders that perhaps have some room to grow as well. But talk to me about the role of mentors and allies, because for me at The Guardian, you were very much an ally, and at some points a bit of a mentor, because even though I'd worked in media, for a bit before, and it wasn't my first job, and it wasn't my first sales job. Having someone who can take you under their wing and show you the lay of the land and how things operate here helps you accelerate and propel forward. Yeah. Right? So I really value that part of our relationship as well. And I still have come to you on occasion for your feedback and your thoughts on various different things throughout my career. But there must have been people that played that role for you. Yeah, there's many. And forgive me if I don't mention all by name, but there are many. There's the recent teacher who sadly passed away, I think last year, but he was a guy called Bob Ellis. I was playing rugby, but I was new to this school, very lucky to go to a all-boys private school, but I felt out of place because really our family didn't have the money to do that, so it was like bursaries and scholarships. So got me and my brother there. However, this guy took me aside and would talk to me about you can actually be as fast as these other guys or as fit, which is ironic now in later life. Those disciplines go away because you prioritize other things. But this guy would coach me. If you wanted to be really good at rugby, why don't you try doing plyometrics? And I was like, plyometrics? I've never even heard of plyometrics at the time. Some people things have moved on to all different types of training, be it high rocks or CrossFit, whatever people do. This guy was talking about plyometrics and using the resistance bands back then, and then getting me fitter, long distance running. Anyways, he was saying, actually, you can do it. You just have to go through the pain to get the gain. And I remember how many times we used to do this run before every month called the 5-minute run, because one guy who was an Olympic runner did it in 5 minutes. And you couldn't get near it. And I remember when I first did it, it was like 18 minutes. And by the time the last ever one, I just ran as fast as I was like 6 minutes, 30 something. Amazing.
Which was literally amazing. But if that guy had taken you aside and keep investing in me and telling me you can actually do it, push you when you're exhausted and uplift you, I don't know, some of my work ethic may not be there. Because you're going to get pains and bumps on the way. And I think I look at some of the people coming into, starting their career journeys in our business, and they don't understand that life doesn't just go like that. It is literally sometimes, as you said, you learn through hardship or making mistakes. So there is pain, or sometimes it's not 9 to 5. You have to go a bit further. Instagram reels will tell you, when your company tells you to do an extra hour. So the reality is that, that Instagram life that we get sold, I feel like it's depressing. I actually think it's quite, it's meant to be motivating. The irony is, someone behind it is doing the post to accelerate their own earnings.
Yeah.
Because they know like the dramatic or the emotive thing that they really, it's a bit like the newspaper headlines that don't actually tell you the facts.
It's clickbait, right?
It's absolutely that. And people are like, yeah, but people are believing that. If my company gets me a pizza, is that it?
Yeah.
What about the people who, frontline colleagues in our business, don't even get pizza? We had an ice cream van come to work the other day and I had 2 people say thank you. I don't expect, it wasn't actually even just my idea, but 2 people said thank you. And I bet there'd be a proportion, high percent, like, is this it? There's people out there working below the national real living wage and they ain't getting an ice cream. Anyways, to the point, there is this thing where actually people forget how important it is to work hard, but they still expect the reward. And the two, risk and reward, work hard, put weight. If I hit the gym every single day, I'd be much trimmer.
Yeah.
That's hard. It's hard. I find it easier to go to work than go to the gym. Yeah. I make more time in work because I find it easier than going to the gym, because that is pain. But going back to your mentorship point, this teacher really talked about that. And all it is then what are your choices and your disciplines in life. Other mentors I've had, I had a boss who we used to clash all the time, but he used to tell me, do you think or do you know? A bit like the Guardian fact and opinion. Very similar, him as a product. Yeah. Do you think or do you know? And then that made me feel like I needed to find out the facts before I come with a business proposal or a case or a sales pitch, or saying like, this is the way we're going to go with marketing. No, I need to back it up. Don't just come with things that are just made up in your head. And then I had an actual coach and mentor who talked about that very thing. Like a lot of people, a lot of leaders, imposter syndrome, wonder how you look, wonder how you sound, worry about what people really think, will they take me seriously? And then I've got like this coach who's like, that's in your head. Who's ever said that to you? And I'm like, no one. I sat in a hotel lobby, just me and him chatting, and there's nobody in this lobby, and the lady behind the bar cranks up the music. I'm thinking, is she trying to drown us out so she didn't have to hear to us? And he's like, whoa, Matt, you got that wrong. That's in your head. What if she was thinking, oh, there's only those 2, maybe they want to hear some music? I'd convinced myself she was being rude and she did it to annoy us. I went over, politely said, can I turn down the music? Is it okay? She went, yeah, sorry. I thought I was doing the music to help you because it was just you guys. I thought you wanted to. And he was absolutely right. You create these pictures of insecurities and messaging in your head.
She was blatantly lying.
She didn't want to hear my chat. These are true. Yeah. She's like, oh, sorry. Yeah.
No, I don't think it was anything to do. She was like, dude, this is a slow shift. Let me crank up the tunes.
Yeah, she was like, yeah, these guys, all I can do is hear them chatting about work.
Yeah. If these 2 weren't in here, I could just close up.
Yeah, she was ready. She was ready just to go on her lunch or whatever it was.
So I think that the value of allies and mentors is understood, but how do you make sure that you pick that little note up, that little nugget up, and you carry it forward? Because do you think or do you know? I think that's great. That's a great phrase. Mm-hmm. And there was, I know it wasn't hers, but there was another manager, actually, ironically, at The Guardian, who did the whole fail to prepare, prepare to fail kind of thing, right? Yeah. And it was annoying. The context of it was completely annoying, and I won't go into that. But it's. I think the fact that it was at an annoying moment meant that it just stuck with me. And there was something that you said to me when we used to go out running, was, is it really going to kill you? And there were. I
remember that.
Yeah, and there were so many times when I run a marathon, I've done a couple of marathons.
This is it. And do you remember that first run?
Oh man,
I was dead. Up the hill, the first hill.
Yeah, I was done. With the first, I mean, I think I got over the first hill. The first hill was.
I remember you hands on knees. I remember.
But the point is that sometimes you don't realise the little nuggets of wisdom that are going to propel you forward, or the conversations or the advice. So how do you make sure that you keep them and you use
keep
them?
You apply them.
Exactly.
It's a really good question. I have this. I think for me personally, everyone's got their own little ways. Be it write it down. Me personally, I remember so many things. Like it's like a blessing and a curse. Like on a night when people should be asleep, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm remembering like, I don't know, a rugby try in 1994, or what someone said, like you said, because the same person I think who said that comment to you about failing to prepare used to say to me, instead of saying just say in your head, I pause and I breathe. And they were talking about their, I think they trained in theatre, and they were saying, I pause and I breathe, all an is a breath. And I still use that at work. It's just say in your head, slow it down, pause and I breathe. So I still say but I vary less than some people that I hear from in business. Truthfully, I just think that's good. Books I read, I'm like, I like that. I can keep it, but use it and it becomes a thing. So the pause and the breathe, I use it when I talk to people who ask me for mentorship or some advice. I also, some things that I see when not so good, I just try and do the opposite. And then I reflect. There's a amount of times, at the minute I've got an executive officer who supports me, works with me very closely, and I'll finish a meeting and I might be on camera and it might be a broadcast. And I'll turn, I'll be like, how was that? Could I have done anything better? And actually asking that question, taking that feedback helps me adjust how I'll do it. And to be honest, sometimes I'll look and this person will go, yeah, don't say that next time, or you sounded like you were being a bit too direct. I'll actually take it on board. And I think a lot of people won't. They get like high opinions. But when you're imposter syndrome, you question and you actually go, yeah, okay, let me adapt that and add it.
Well, let's see if you can relate to this, because there were definitely moments in my life where I'd done things and I've asked for advice, but what I'm actually asking for is a celebration. So I'm saying to you, how did I do? But what I really want you to do is say, yeah, man, you were great, you were amazing. And I want to have that high, right? Like I want the clap.
And that's very human.
But then
that lifts up the dopamine hit and the excitement.
But it got me, there was a certain point in my life where I really did not want that. And I wanted actual advice, support, guidance, something to say, as you said, probably don't say that next time, or you could have said that a little bit differently, or whatever. And I don't know if it's maturity that gets you there. I don't know if it's experience that gets you there. But can you relate to that? Like, did you find a moment in your life where you switched, or is it different moments where?
Yeah, switching from wanting just to hear what your brain, to feel good, to actually wanting constructive or direct feedback.
Exactly.
I've always wanted direct feedback because most of my insecurities are telling me negative thoughts. But sometimes you don't know. Back to do you think or do you know? I don't know how people took to me as a chief exec coming into this business, because it was owned and run by another chap. I don't know. What did I do? I asked every single month, and still do, every single month a survey to frontline colleagues, separate to head office, 2 surveys. How are you feeling? Are you happy? Is there any other suggestions? Because I needed to know if I'm doing a good or bad job. That's how it started. It's very much a well-being, social value survey now. But it was like, I didn't know. Very often you don't get, very little do you get someone telling you did a good or bad job. And to your point, you get people who, for whatever reason, don't want to tell you the truth. They want to tell you, that was great. And then behind your back, they'll be like, oh my God.
But it's something that you've done to create an environment where people can also give you that feedback. So a couple of months ago, our CEO was over and he asked me this question. I just said, see, now I'm catching myself. He asked me this question, if you were in my role, what would you be doing differently right now?
That's a good question.
And genuinely, for a second, I was thinking, I'm still pretty new in this gig. How honest can I be? And I had to stay true to myself. So I was honest and I gave him the feedback.
You've always been like that. It's what I love.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. So I had to be honest, and I just told him how it was. And he took it he took it really well. And we had a great conversation about it. We looked at ways we could improve that thing. I mean, as it stands, the organization is great, but there's a couple of things that, of course, can always be tweaked in every organization. But he's also created that environment where I felt comfortable to share that feedback, and that's one of the things I really like about him.
Well, he's asked for it.
Yeah, but he's asked. Yeah, that's true. He's asked
for it, but it's interesting. There's a great book, and I tell people all the time in our business, Humankind.
Okay.
Read this book, Humankind, and it talks like people can, and it's quite grim, but they can push a button or make an action when they don't look into the eye of a human. So, a lot of things that you see in war is actually, it's not physically, a lot of the time, someone pulling a trigger whilst they're looking at someone. It's someone pushing a button or in a plane or in a mechanical thing that they don't actually see the impact. So therefore, humans struggle to actually tell you what you really think, because I don't want to look you in the eye and do it in the metaphorical sense of pulling a trigger. So, making this relevant, my point is, how different, when you think differently, one of our values, no coincidences, are you, if you can empower and tell someone that even if it's right or wrong, or it's your opinion on something that they want to hear, and they can take it, the person receiving it can take it or leave it, but they're going to respect you, that you're not just telling them what they want to know. The whole executive officer role that I've got it's like my mini shadow board, because I don't know everything. I don't even know this demographic of this person is different to me, and the world's moving at a rapid pace, and I'm learning new words and new takes, and I can't just believe that everything that we learn at The Guardian and telling people carry a pen. Most people in our business are using Remarkables, they don't even have a pen, and chat gaps might not be a different thing, and prospecting isn't about phones, they're on LinkedIn or using whichever AI tools. I need to learn, and I need this person and other people to tell me things that I may not know, or things that I need to adjust to continue to improve. I respect that person more than someone who goes, "You look great today, Matt," when actually I might have chive in my tooth, booger up my nose, or stains on my top, and I should have dressed differently. That's the flex. That is the real play, isn't it? Someone who can look at you and actually not do what most other people will do, which is tell you just what you want to hear. How will you improve?
I was at this festival, industry event recently, and this guy walked past me who I didn't know, and he'd very clearly eaten a donut, like sugar covered, and he had it like all. And I was in the middle of a conversation with someone, and it was a really important, it was someone that I was trying to get hold of for a while. So this guy's going past, and I'm thinking, if I don't say something, he's going to end up in a situation. So I just quickly just grab and just said, "I think you've had a donut," and you just got a little bit something there. And it transpires that this guy was also someone that I wanted to talk to, and he sort of joins our conversation. And the point isn't that you might be able to get something back.
No.
But he appreciated the fact that I pulled him up on it, and I just sort of. And I didn't want to show him up or anything. I said, "Give me a second." I just grabbed this guy's elbow. He's just running past, right? Not running past, walking past. I said, "Mate, I think and he tied himself up, and we just laughed it off, and then you move forward, right? But I think it's also got to look out for each other. It's not even just like giving people compliments. I think why put someone in a situation where they're going to not be their best self?
Correct. Listen, that thing is why you are where you are and why you're successful and succeed, because you helped. Just like you're saying, this podcast is uplift. You said to me before we even started, I want to uplift. I want you to look good. You want to protract the things that will empower other people or inspire. It's the same thing there. You did not want that guy to have a bad day, look bad, or bring him down. And he will remember that. And that's why, I don't know, call it karma, or you give to receive, the good things happen. That energy, turned out that guy was something that you did, for business purposes, need to know. And then remember how you made him feel. You supported him, embarrassed him at the same time. But you supported him.
I didn't embarrass him.
I'm joking. You told him something that he needed to know, and you helped make his day better. That's the flex.
Thanks, man. Right. If you were to give advice to those individuals just starting up in the world of work, right? What advice would that be?
In the world of work?
Yeah, I'd say in the industry, but the reality is that actually I think it transcends, I think advice that transcends all industries.
It's a really good question. And I feel like I'm going to quote something from the musical Hamilton, because I referenced it earlier.
Sure.
One of my favourite musicals, by the way.
Yeah.
But like, what are you going to be remembered for? And to be remembered, so we all talk about building allies, and we talked about mentors and coaches, but also if you talk about your question, which was to help your career journey, there's a lot of competition out there. What are you going to be remembered for? What is going to be your authentic way? Because remember I said, like, our business needs to do what all those other people are doing. We need to do one or two things that they don't dare to do. So the whole think differently thing. I think the biggest advice is, it might be the sugar donut example. Are you going to be that person who calls out the sugar donut, the sugar on the face? Are you going to be everyone else? So you need to think about how can you stand out professionally and still be liked and collaborate with people. I think you absolutely need to think like, what are you going to do that they're not going to do so that you can get ahead? I think some of the best sports people, the Cristiano Ronaldos and Messis, they need to do something to beat that defender. And there's only some that will do a bit of flair, a step over or a trick. The people who just do the same old are going to get tackled. So you're going to dare to do something different. You didn't ask me, and hopefully not your next question, otherwise I ruin the program, but in leadership, so that's like in career journey, if you're going to be an administrator, what are you going to do differently? So you get that vibe. In leadership, I always think the best things that I was told are, were these 4 leadership styles, which you'll probably relate to this. But 4 leadership styles, one of my business coaches told me is be collaborative. So that's when you get everyone around a table and say, look, we've got a great idea and we want to go to the moon and you want everyone with you and them to be part of building it. Then there's the straightforward, I would need you to, set up for this podcast, please. That's a straightforward direction. So you have that persona. And then there's this one that some other people just won't do, which is restore order. Some people will not look to the point that we've talked about, someone in the eye and go, that is not acceptable. I'm not asking you a straightforward thing. I'm telling you you need to do this. And some leaders have to. You can't be everybody's friend. At some point, a leader has to tell someone to do something that they may not want to do. And not everybody will front into that. And you do this really well. You do it professionally in your style, but you still can get people to do things that they might not want to do. And then the 4th persona, which is where some people fall down on ego, is understand when it's complex. When it's complex and you're out of your depth and you might need someone who knows more, that's cool, that's all right. Me going on, I don't even know how to change statuses on Instagram, it's too complex for me. I might need to ask someone who knows better, or it might be a legal thing in business sense where I'm not like the litigator and I might need someone to take counsel and advise me. And too many people think they know. They don't, they just think. It goes back to that think and know thing. So yeah.
I think it's really good advice. There's 2 points really. So on the first one, from a grassroots level, I do feel like just being good at your function isn't enough.
Correct, that's it.
Right, so you do need to stand out. If there are 10 people in your function, there's probably only 2 people above you, right? So how, just using arbitrary numbers, so how are you going to be one of the 10? And if it's a sales job, as an example, just having great sales isn't enough, right? Correct. Because organizations have figured out that great salespeople aren't always great leaders or managers. So I think that's brilliant advice. And it's stuff that I used to talk to my team about at Criteo as well, which is, try and lean in on some of the projects within the organization, try and work out, what else is going on. You don't have to be a thought leader, but you can follow other thought leaders and bring insight from the front line back. And on the on the second thing, which is, from a leadership perspective, I think it's not just there are these 4 areas. It's actually understanding that each situation might require a different level or different style of leadership. But in that final bit where you can call in other people, it's the part of that ego, man. Because on occasion, you feel like you've been in a role for too long, or you've been in an organization for too long to be able to ask a question. Like, the great thing about starting out new in a role or new in a company is you feel like you've been given this green light to ask stupid questions.
Yeah.
And for the first 6 months, everyone's like, oh, there's no such thing as a dumb question, Matt. Don't worry about it. And then after 6 months, you'll worry, and it could be a reality that people say, but he's been here for 6 months. Like, how does he not know this by now? Don't worry about that. Like, park that and just ask the questions if you need to ask the question, or solicit that support. I think that's brilliant advice. Yeah,
and it's not mine. Someone, to your point earlier, someone said, play those personas. Yeah. Find your own customization of those personas, like your own way to articulate yourself or to dress. But just absolutely that last one. Just know when you might be out of your depth or you don't understand, and get someone to advise you. And I think a lot of don't know, I get confused with all the different generation terms, but a lot of people are, that's where ChatGPT is playing a good role. There's a lot of people who are getting access to information. Some people are using it not correctly and losing that human interaction where I'm actually reading emails and like, you just put that in ChatGPT, you're not even thinking about what you're writing. However, people...
By the way, you send me something in ChatGPT, I am going to call it out. I find it hilarious. So I do call that stuff out.
Yeah, and I know you probably would. I allow it, but I just think to myself, okay. But you're actually, ChatGPT is missing the human connection often than not. And but anyways, the point is, some people are using ChatGPT as that mentor or that coach. I met someone actually just last week who said actually they designed a bot through ChatGPT that is their business mentor. But that is the complex. When you don't know, you can go to there. But you don't have to just be one person. Go and speak, get 3 people's opinions, and then make a bit more of an informed decision, so that you don't think, oh no.
I think getting a second opinion is always valid. I'll give you a great anecdote. Years ago, I went to a dentist, and he said to me, I needed 13 fillings.
It's a true story.
True story. He told me. I'm talking about well over a decade ago. And I was thinking, I know my teeth aren't in great condition.
You got lovely teeth.
Thank you. But there's no way that I need 13 fillings. Like, it's just not possible. So I went to another dentist, and that dentist said to me, I don't know what you're on about. You need this one filling. And I just feel like sometimes someone can turn up in a lab coat or with a clipboard, and we just think, well, they know what they're talking about. But getting a second opinion, when like, go with your gut, man, and get a second opinion.
Yeah, that's quite bold, isn't it? Because that's a professional who said 17, but they getting the second opinion, and this person will be right, but how do you make the decision between the two? Is the other person wrong? Or did they just give you the answer that you wanted to know?
I didn't tell him that I needed that. Actually, to be fair, I didn't tell him how many fillings I needed. When he gave me the answer, you only need this one filling, I then said, because I'm not the sort of person who's going to let it go, I was like, you'll never guess what. I went to this other, So that's really...
But that is it. That is, I mean, just the whole going to the first dentist is that leadership persona. We're not dentists. We need to go and get an expert's advice and give them the transparent symptoms. I don't know why you went originally, but I get knee pains from years of rugby, and I'm like, if I go in and say only half of this bit and don't tell them the full extent and the weight gain control, they can't make an actual advice opinion. So you need to be willing in the first place to go and get expert advice, but tell them what's going on, so they can then go, this is what we recommend.
They can't diagnose without
They can't diagnose. Too many people only give you a small bit of their story.
And that goes back to the ego. That goes back to
yeah.
So the closing tradition, this podcast, is you got to name it. I can give you some ideas. I can tell you.
Give me some ideas. You're the idea. You're the creative one of this.
You got to think about it a little bit. Come on, I got to make you work a little bit.
And tell me what would other people do? I'm looking for.
People come up with some
complex.
Great. Some people come up with some great clickbaity titles. In all honesty, the title that comes to mind for me is not sponsored by The Guardian. And the reason is because we must have shouted them out about 50 times.
Great.
This is almost like a recruitment drive.
Not sponsored by The Guardian.
Yeah. But you don't have to use that. You can use whatever works for you. Pause.
I think I love growth mindset, and I think a lot of what we talked about is these different personas and people you come across, be it The Guardian, be it the Bob Ellis, that teacher who I talked about with the kind of sports side of things. I think it's like the diversity of growth mindset, as in these mentors and coaches are different forms of life, be it parents, or like my executive officer, that's a coach. That's someone who, on their career trajectory, I could be their father, the age profile, but they are coaching me in many ways that I didn't think I needed to hear. So I think I would go with diversity of growth mindset.
Diversity of growth mindset.
Is that rubbish?
No, that's brilliant.
I'm asking for a genuine opinion. You can
No, diversity of growth mindset is a lot of words. I'm not going to lie. It's a lot of words.
Take out growth. Diversity of mindset. No?
Diversity of mindset.
That doesn't even make sense.
Diversity of...
Shall we put it into ChatGPT?
No. I reckon we can do this, man. We don't need a sat-nav to get everywhere. Let's, what about...
I know.
Go on.
No, I don't.
Go on.
No.
How about diversity and growth?
I reckon diversity and growth. Like diversity and growth.
Yeah. But is that a little bit...
I don't know. What would ChatGPT tell me? Isn't that what we just...
Go on, have a look.
ChatGPT says, I'm saying diversity
and growth mindset.
A good title of a podcast. It's thinking. It says it could work. It doesn't sound too confident, does ChatGPT. It could work. It's got some strengths. Clearly tells listeners the themes, but professionally it sounds suitable for education, and it's got broad appeal. Possible drawbacks. It feels more like the title of a workshop. Not sure, super catchy. Tips to improve beyond diversity, the growth mindset podcast. Diverse minds, growing through diversity, mindset matters, diversity and growth.
So which one are you going for?
I liked my one actually, but I'm gonna go for the power of diversity. This isn't this one remixing here.
The
power of diversity, growth mindset.
Okay. That is great. It's great.
We've made a decision. That was good.
We've got
some informed.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same amount of words, but it's fun. it's all good. All right, brother. I really, really enjoyed the conversation, genuinely. And it's the first time we've caught up in a long time. Yeah. Let's make sure we catch up again. We don't have to do it with cameras, but we could do it with cameras. I enjoyed it.
Brilliant.
I hope you enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it. And,
when I say I hope you enjoyed it, I mean you and also the listeners and whatever. Yeah.
I hope someone listens. I'm even flat that there might be one listener, and hopefully it's someone from the Guardian, because like you said, we big them up massively.
Yeah.
But no, I'm very, very grateful for the time. I'm proud that you can do this, man. It's great that you empower and uplift people. So keep going, man. That's awesome. And if I can ever help anybody, just reach out. It's just a LinkedIn message away.
Right. Well, I mean, the fact that you might get inundated with about 3 or 4 messages following this will show you the size of it.
Hey,
that might be the problem.
I don't think that's the case. I think this is brilliant.
Thank you.
Right. Cheers. Thank you.
Take care.